So today we're going to talk about something that might just change the way you think about work and wealth. There's this new framework for getting rich that says, forget about luck, forget about just grinding harder. It's all about working smarter, using a completely new kind of tool that's available to, well, pretty much anyone.
All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about why the old rules of making money are basically broken. Then we'll get into the secret weapon of this new era, permissionless leverage. We're going to bust the myth that just working hard is enough, look at the two key tools you can actually use, and then, this is the big one, we'll reveal the one skill that multiplies everything else. It'll totally change how you measure your own success.
All right, hold on. We hear this all the time, right? The world has changed, the old rules are out. But have they really? I mean, people have been getting rich for centuries. Is this actually something new? Or are we just talking about the same old game with fancier tech?
And that is exactly the point. Just look at this. Not too long ago, if you wanted to reach millions of people, you had to get permission. You needed the guys on the right, the big news networks, the publishing houses. But today, one person from their bedroom can build an audience that completely dwarfs these billion-dollar companies. That isn't just a small shift. It's a total flip of who holds the power.
Right. And the engine behind that power flip is what this is all about, leverage. But it's a very specific kind of leverage that our parents and grandparents just didn't have access to. This is the force that's creating what our source material calls the new rich. So what even is leverage? You've probably heard that old quote from Archimedes, right? Give me a lever long enough and I can move the world. In our world, leverage just means using tools to get a much bigger result from the same amount of effort. Think about it. You could spend all day digging a hole with your hands, or you could use an excavator and get it done in 5 minutes. That excavator, that's leverage.
Exactly. And this slide is the key to everything. On the left, you've got the old world. The levers were people, labor, and money, capital. And to use them, you needed permission. Someone had to give you a job, a promotion, a bank loan. There were gatekeepers everywhere. Now look at the right. The new levers are code and media. You don't need to ask anyone for permission to write an app, start a blog, or record a video. The gates are just gone.
Yeah, I mean, they work for you while you sleep? That sounds fantastic. But let's be honest, how many people are really pulling that off? It sounds like this amazing dream, but for most people, it feels totally out of reach.
You know, it feels out of reach because we're all trained to think in a straight line. Work 1 hour, get paid for 1 hour. But the whole point of leverage is that it smashes that connection. With the right lever, the amount of time you put in has almost nothing to do with the amount of value you create. The link is broken.
And that's what this quote is all about. Renting out your time, it doesn't matter if you're making minimum wage or $500 an hour, it has a hard ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day. To really escape that trap, you have to own a piece of something that isn't tied to your time. That's equity. Think of it as owning a tiny robot that just works for you 24/7, whether that robot is a piece of software or a popular YouTube channel.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. 1,000 times? Seriously? I can buy that a great engineer is better, way more productive, maybe 10 times better, but 1,000x? That just sounds completely made up. How is that even possible?
I know it sounds crazy, but it's not made up. It's all about leverage. Look at these names. John Carmack didn't just type code faster. His work on 3D graphics literally created a multi-billion-dollar industry. Or Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, wrote one white paper and some code and created trillions of dollars in value. Marcus Pearson built a game Minecraft by himself in the beginning and sold it for $2.5 billion. Their output wasn't about hours. It was about the impact of their creation amplified by code.
Okay, so this brings it all back to the real world. How do we, normal people, actually use this? How do you find one of these levers that you can actually pull yourself?
Right. This is what I've been getting at. This is great for these tech geniuses, but I can't code. I'm not the next John Carmack. So what about the rest of us? Does this whole idea just not apply? And that is the biggest myth about all of this. Code is only one of the 2 permissionless levers. The other one is media. If you can't write the code for the robot, you can be the one who writes the instruction manual or makes the video about how to use it. A single blog post, a single video can be your army of clones working for you around the clock, telling your story to thousands of people long after you hit publish. You're scaling your own unique knowledge, and you can start right now.
Okay, so we've got the tools, code, and media. But a tool is useless if you don't know where to apply it, right? A powerful lever in the wrong hands can cause a lot of damage. And that brings us to the ultimate multiplier. It isn't about the tool you use, it's about the quality of the decisions you make. And this quote about Warren Buffett is the perfect way to understand this final piece of the puzzle. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, Buffett's whole game is capital, that's the old permissioned leverage. And you'd be right. But if we look at why he's so good at it, we find the secret ingredient that makes any lever powerful. Exactly. Wait a second. His lever is capital. We just said capital is the old way, the permissioned way. You need people to give you money. So isn't this a total contradiction to everything we've been talking about?
You're absolutely right. It is permission leverage. But think about it. Why do people give him permission? Why do they line up to let him use their billions of dollars? It's not because he works the most hours. The money is just the amplifier. The real reason, the source of his power, is something else entirely. Judgment. That's it. His entire job, the reason he's worth billions, is judgment. Why does he read all day? Because his job isn't to be busy. His job is to make a very small number of very important decisions and to get them right. And here's the lesson for us. It doesn't matter if your lever is capital or code or media. The quality of your judgment is what truly determines your outcome. And that brings everything full circle. It's not just a cool theory. It's a completely new way to think about your career and how you measure your own progress.
This slide just nails it. The old way of thinking, the one we're all taught, is on the left. You measure your week by how busy you were. I put in 60 hours. But in this new age, that's a vanity metric. It's useless. The only question that matters is on the right. What leverage did I create or apply this week? Did I write a script that automates a task? Did I publish a piece of content that will reach new people while I sleep? That's the new metric for success.
So if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. The goal is no longer to be 10% more efficient at your hourly job. The goal is to find where your unique judgment, when paired with a lever like code or media, can have 1,000 times impact. It's a shift from a focus on being busy to a focus on being leveraged.
So we want to leave you with this question. Forget your to-do list for a minute and think bigger. What is that special knowledge that only you have? And what's the one lever, a simple piece of code, a blog, a podcast, that you could start building, even just for an hour a day, that will start working for you tomorrow and the next day and the day after that? Because finding the answer to that could change everything.